just joined us on the System After Dark, this is a homegrown number courtesy of E3 and Cracker. Bulla, how's it going? I'm D, your host on the System After Dark, right here on Today FM. Today's hit music. You can catch me weeknights at 7 p.m. That's from Monday to Friday, only on the home of Today's hit music. And don't forget, that's D with you every weeknight on the System After Dark. Even got that homebrew flowing.
Good evening, this is FBC News. I'm Jackie Spate. In this bulletin, vendors protest mud and poor facilities at Hibiscus. China's aid commitment to Fiji could be affected with the devaluation of the yuan, says economist. And Thailand Prime Minister General Prayut Chan-o-cha to be in Suva next month. The sedition case of Timothy Nangata, Pita Dhamaimuala Vakatawa and Saimoni Nadolawa was called in the Tavua Magistrates Court today. The Defence Counsel made a bail application for accused Saimoni Nadolawa, citing medical grounds, and while the application was denied, the court did order that Nadolawa be taken for a medical examination. All accused persons opted for High Court trials, and the matter has been transferred to the Lautoka High Court for mention on 1 September 2015. All three men have been further remanded. Meanwhile, 16 people appeared at the Nandi Magistrates Court today charged with sedition and inciting political antagonism. The 14 men and 2 women are allegedly involved in moves to form a separate state for Nandronga. They applied for bail this afternoon, however it was refused. They have been further remanded until the 26th of this month, when the case will be called in the Lautoka High Court. Westpac Australia senior economist Justin Smirk does not believe China's commitment to Fiji is expected to be affected by the devaluation of the yuan. The Chinese currency was unexpectedly devalued over 3 consecutive days late last week. Ellen Stahls has more.
It's being dubbed the biggest devaluation in 2 decades. The value of the Chinese currency dropped by 4.4% last week. Westpac Australia senior economist Justin Smirk says while the rest of the world might be spooked by the devaluation of the yuan, Fiji has nothing to worry about.
The Chinese will be here for quite a long time. They'll be engaging in the region, wanting to invest. They have large sums of capital they've accumulated over the years of rapid growth and rapid income growth, but they need to invest in other sources of income. So I think you'll find that the Chinese demand for Fiji products and the Chinese interest in Fiji will remain quite solid.
Westpac General Manager Adrian Hughes says an expert is needed to explain the impacts of this to the local business community.
We're hearing about some challenges in China with the recent devaluation of the dollar, and so we thought it's a good time to bring Justin Smirk, who's Westpac's senior economist, to bring him back to Fiji, which will be his third visit to Fiji, just to give the local business community an update with what's happening on the world economic stage and what the impact of those challenges have on the Pacific region.
Smirk also believes Fiji needs to look at other opportunities for investment and growth. In the United States, for example.
If there ever was an opportune time to try and carve out a bit more of a niche market in the US, now is the time to do it, because the US is in a different side of the scale. It also would fill a little bit of a short-term hole that you might get with growth from Australia and New Zealand.
Smirk is in the country for various speaking engagements, including the annual CPA Congress in Nandi later this week. Ellen Stahls, FBC News.
The Prime Minister of Thailand, General Prayut Chan-o-cha, will be the chief guest at the 3rd Pacific Island Development Forum Summit in Suva next month. He will be joined by other prominent diplomats, including Commonwealth Secretary General Kamalesh Sharma and UN Special Envoy on Climate Change Ambassador Mary Robinson.
More than 200 participants are expected to converge in Suva for the Pacific Island Development Forum, where the first PIDF Charter will be adopted.
The Charter is in its draft form, has gone through a very comprehensive consultation process with representatives from the public sector, private sector and civil society from across the Pacific, converging in Suva on two occasions to discuss and debate the contents of the Charter.
Under the Charter, the summit will also launch the Regional Development Fund, consisting of contributions from members and partners financing long-term sustainability. The PIDF theme this year is building climate-resilient green-blue Pacific economies. The findings will make up the Suva Declaration on Climate Change.
It will provide that pivotal platform allowing the Pacific Island countries the final opportunity to come together to discuss their stance, their positions in the critical 21st Conference of Parties to be held in Paris later this year.
A new Secretary General will also be appointed from a shortlist. Observers are also coming in from America, the Middle East, Europe and Asia for the summit here at the Grand Pacific Hotel from the 2nd to the 4th of next month. Edwin Nund, FBC News.
Still to come on FBC News, Look North policy has no policy document.
FM nambundu en sir na ngona nin den manda ke central rental sapo ke de so minichi me va na koloko ni sabula
oya wa ti soni dalai
gonga e mo zindon
na ma ke raw mena tolu ke bitu ena via kabi moliti ke na borombuka
goria na lali ne kabi bula FM nambundu en sir
Heavy rain and muddy conditions at the foreshore in Suva have caused an uproar amongst vendors at the Vodafone Hibiscus Festival. With the weather office predicting more rain this week, the vendors have raised their concerns in a petition given to the festival organizers. Madhium Bolaitamana reports.
It is just the third day of the annual event and the weather is a contentious matter for vendors who invested in stalls at what has been dubbed as the mother of all festivals.
I think you can really see what's happening. The crowd are depressed about the weather condition. They're not able to make business. And I'm just here merely not to blame anyone, not even the committee, but really just to show what's really happening.
The heavy mud underfoot and the lack of easily accessible amenities, among other things, also has been a factor in the furore.
And I think what has affected business is the weather condition, the rainy weather, and also some concerns that were raised by the stall owners, which is water, toilet very far, and we have documented in a letter.
Organizing committee spokesperson Linganguki Suba says, while the elements may not be in their favor, the committee is doing all it can to accommodate the concerns raised by the vendors.
We cannot really do much about the weather, which is beyond our control. They can be rest assured that we are putting some factors in place, some mechanisms in place to ensure that at least the ground can cushion.
On considering the option of relocating the event if the wet and muddy conditions persist, Mukisuba says they will cross that bridge when they come to it.
We had done orientation with stall owners and we've showed them where the restroom are, where they can go if they want water and all those things. I guess it's just upon us to go back and reaffirm or ensure them that these amenities are available.
Tonight is the Asian night and also the Sarong night for the Queen's first public judging at the Suva foreshore. Madhium Bolaitamana, FBC News.
The Social Democratic Liberal Party, or SODELPA, is trying to resolve any dispute within the party. FBC News has been reliably informed the allegations of a rift within the party are being investigated. It is understood there are two factions within the party. The party is going back to its constitution to see how to deal with the pending issue. There are claims that some SODELPA MPs are unhappy with Rote Mumukepa and her leadership. Attempts to get comments from party President Ratunaingama Lalambalavu remain futile. Calls made to Kepa were also not answered. Development will continue around the country despite alleged attempts by some to derail the government. Local Government Minister Parveen Kumar Bala made the comment today as the government contributed $500,000 towards the refurbishment of Tikaram Park in Lami. Ali Kimbia has more.
The first signs of a facelift at Tikaram Park, Minister for Local Government Parveen Kumar Bala laying the foundation for a new podium.
While we are going forward, taking country ahead, we have some elements within our community who wants to derail the system. But we will continue with the good work.
Bala did not disclose who the critics are. Lami Town Special Administrator Jasper Singh revealed the plans for the facelift.
We had a vision to build a senior citizens park on my right, a modern podium right where you are sitting right now, and on the left is a recreational area.
One of Lami's prominent families, the Tikarams, donated land for the park to the Lami Town Council in 1982.
And with these plans announced by the local government and the ministry, we want to thank them for investing not into the park but into the people of Lami, because they will surely be the beneficiaries of what's about to be developed here.
The facelift will take about 5 months and the new look park is expected to reopen to the public at the end of the year. Ali Kimbia, FBC News.
There is a need to develop an actual Look North policy document outlining the division's development plans. This was revealed at a recent workshop on business and household financial management in Lambasa. Maggie Boyle tells us more.
With more than $260 million poured into the division over the last 5 years, the Northern Development Programme is geared at exploiting the area's economic potential. Programme Manager Waisale Tuindama says there needs to be a specific policy to support this.
To be frank, there is no Look North policy. There is no document which is the Look North policy. I'm telling the Commissioner Northern, if we can design a policy paper that's called the Look North policy. Now everybody talks about Look North policy. From previous government they call the Look North policy, but frankly, there is no document which is called the Look North policy.
Tuindama opened a workshop on improved financial literacy, targeting fishermen from the districts of Ndreketi, Madhuwata, Sasa and Mali. He elaborated on the need for northerners to turn their resources into cash, highlighting the last household income and expenses survey, which reports that 48% of the national population that live in poverty reside in rural Vanuatu. For the participants, the workshop provided a good learning opportunity as well as a forum to discuss the sector's challenges.
For the fishermen, you don't have any duty-free items. So it's very hard to buy parts when you especially use old engines and things like that. You don't get any cheaper fishing line hooks, any fishing items.
It doesn't only assist me. This workshop helps the whole island as a whole, and fishermen especially, in how you are able to save money. Like during bad weather, you're able to have some money there for you in the bank.
The workshop aims to improve participants' knowledge and understanding of the sustainable management of the fisheries. Orngolingoli Dokovata. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
Nollie Street is one of the oldest areas in Suva and it still has remnants of the past. In the past week, a group of former residents travelled from abroad back to Nollie Street for a trip down memory lane. Ritika Pratap reports.
2 years of planning via emails and phone calls across several countries came to fruition as these former residents converged at what was once the Victoria Parade Park.
Everything happened there. I mean, we were playing soccer, we were playing rugby, we were playing all sorts of things. And then our sisters and our friends, female friends, would come and join us there. And so this whole community grew from this base of Victoria Park.
Event coordinator John Gray grew up on Nollie Street and was surrounded by many friends.
I think it's the bonding of a diversified culture, and we learn from each other's I guess, cultures, traits, business acumen. At a very young age, we exchanged very good thoughts and ideas.
From the early 70s, it was good to go to places where, you've never been before, like, homes of people of other cultures, and it was good to see that mixing of people of different races, and it was the best part of it. It was not only about drinking kava.
Many of the former residents came from poor backgrounds, but over the years, they became successful and some moved overseas to pursue their dreams. Cecil Krishna left in 1975, and this is his first trip back home.
I kind of a bit disappointed I didn't come earlier to see the changes as the changes went along. A sort of a 5-year difference, a 10-year difference. And like most people do when they leave, they do come back 5 years later and visit 10 or 20 years. It took me 40 years. There's no explanation. It just, one of those things just happened.
While the reunion brought together old friends, it was also an opportunity to encourage one another to return and invest in their country of birth. Ritika Pratap, FBC News.
Sports now, here's Jamie with the latest.
Nagateki, and good evening. Coming up, the latest from the Flying Fijians camp with 4 more days to the final team naming. And we take a look at the secondary school's IDC that kicked off today. This and more after the break.
छू 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 हे हे नमस्ते फीजी, आपके हर एक प्रॉब्लम की दवा लेकर मैं आ गई हूँ 9 से 12 बजे तक आपकी सहेली रेनू। छू 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 40 में 20 का दिखना है। मैं हूँ ना आपके साथ में मिर्ची एफएम पर 9 से 12 बजे तक मंडे टू फ्राइडे। मिर्ची इट्स हॉट।
Players vying for a spot in the Flying Fijians Rugby World Cup squad have 4 more days to impress selectors before the final team is named on Friday. Amongst those in contention is back row and Dominico Wanganimburoto, who is hoping to make it to his second World Cup. Indra Singh has more.
A wet Suva welcome for the Flying Fijians as they get into team naming mode, something which is lingering on every player's mind.
Everyone's looking forward to the World Cup now. We forgot about the PNC, so everyone's just concentrating on the training at the moment, and we leave the selection to the coaches.
Wanganimburoto is no stranger to the World Cup, having played in 2011 and also being the skipper of the national team in 2010.
Yeah, they're right. Anything is possible. You get one chance. You lose, you win. So the team's getting prepared and preparing well for the World Cup. So it could be a surprise, and yeah, we want to do well for the country as well.
He says the tussle for a spot in the back row will not be easy, but those selected will be dependent on the coach and what he sees fit.
Yeah, it's good to get Nathan Tali back, who joined the camp last week. We've got a lot of loose forwards at the moment. I wouldn't say it's a bad challenge, but it's a good challenge. It's good for the team. So at the moment we're happy with working around each other, working with each other around training and helping each other.
His mentor says having options in the position makes it easy for his selection process, bearing in mind the World Cup will not be an easy outing.
Yeah, it's, that's an area where we've got a lot of depth, and you know, we need to get the right balance there, and also mindful of Rugby World Cup. We've got a short turnaround at the start.
It's been a wet start to the Flying Fijians' second week of training here in Suva as they prepare for the naming of the 31-member squad on Friday. As the boys put it, it is all or nothing this week, and they have to give it their best, not 100 but 110% to get the ticket to the Rugby World Cup. Indra Singh, FBC Sports.
Meanwhile, John McKee has reiterated that some positions in the squad are still to be finalised. However, the stiff competition amongst players more than capable of filling these positions posed a good challenge for him as coach.
Yeah, there's a little bit of pressure for some players that, there's still a few positions, not completely finalised, and also the balance of, positional wise, the players that we take. So there's a little bit of that adds to the training this week. I mean, the good thing from my point of view is, as coaches, that we've got good depth across our squad, so it's good to be able to have to make some tough decisions.
The Flying Fijians team to the World Cup will be named on Friday night. 20 schools have signed up for the inaugural Girls Secondary School Sevens rugby competition this week. Each school will represent a participating country at the 2015 Rugby World Cup. The initiative is part of the legacy program for each country to promote girls rugby around the globe.
It is going to replicate what is going to be happening at the Rugby World Cup. We will have girls from around Fiji representing different countries in 4 pools.
The tournament will be held on Friday at the ANZ Stadium. The 2015 Vodafone Fiji Secondary Schools Football Inter-District Championships kicked off on a wet and soggy Ratudakambau Park in Nausori today. 16 teams are battling out in the under-19 category, while competition in the under-15 and 17 age groups are also taking place. Rohit Deo was in Nausori today and filed this report.
Secondary schools from around the country, apart from the Northern Division, took to the field today for football supremacy. The youth development work being done in various divisions of the country was visible today, with good structural football being showcased by the youngsters.
It's good to be back, visiting old friends for a few days, and with the secondary schools competition on it, I timed it perfectly, so you get to watch some good football. I've been impressed. The standard is quite good.
The heavy underfoot conditions wasn't of any help to the players, but they did very well to counter that.
We are quite pleased with the performance of some of the players and some of the teams. They're trying to play a structured football, which is very important and needed in Fiji soccer. And we have also identified some of the players who will qualify for the next under-20s and next under-17s.
The organisers have been impressed with what they have seen so far.
Considering the weather, the ground condition, I would say the competition has gone up to another level. People are playing structured football. They're not kicking and chasing. They are trying to control and they are trying to build up from the back.
The tournament continues for the next 2 days, with the finals to be played on Wednesday.
The adverse weather conditions has not deterred the boys at the competition so far. With no northern teams taking part in this year's competition, defending champion Saraswati College, Westerners Nadi Muslim College and Navas Vashish Muni College have a good chance at this year's title. Rohit Deo, FBC Sports.
In the English Premier League this morning, Manchester City dismissed champions Chelsea 3-0, laying down a significant early marker in the EPL title race. That win places City on top of the points table after 2 rounds with 6 points. Meanwhile, in another match, Arsenal recovered from their opening day defeat by West Ham to record a hard-fought 2-1 victory at Crystal Palace. Australia overcame rival New Zealand 58-55 to win their 11th Netball World Championship title last night. The Silver Ferns came into the final unbeaten after a shock win over Australia in the group stages, but a 9-goal deficit from the first quarter left New Zealand unable to catch the Commonwealth champions. The final was played in front of a world record netball crowd of 16,752 at the Olympic Park.
Just the absolute happiest. I mean, there's so many bloody emotions out there for that 60 minutes. You've got girls retiring, just, I suppose, a legacy to continue to carry on, and it just feels like a big weight's been lifted off, but more importantly, just to achieve that with that bunch of girls is just bloody sensational. We won 3 quarters out of the 4. Didn't have the greatest of starts compared to yesterday, but I still think, no matter what, we still fought hard, which was good to see.
Meanwhile, the Fiji Pearls finished its World Cup campaign in 11th position. That was your sports for tonight. Good evening.
Vodafone Fiji has thrown in support behind the revival of Rocki Carnival after a lapse of 10 years. A sponsorship package was signed between Rocki Town Council and Vodafone Fiji. The festival provides a platform for 6 Queen contestants to advocate on this year's carnival theme, bringing the community together. The festival will be held at the FBC grounds next month. Showers were experienced over most of the nation today. Nandi received 9 millimeters of rain, while Suva received 25 in the 24 hours to 9 this morning, which made a mess of the Hibiscus site, as you saw earlier. A low-pressure trough to the north and southeasterly winds continue to keep temperatures low and bring wet weather to Fiji. Bar Nadi and Suva only managed a maximum temperature of 24 degrees today. Sabu Sabu hit 25, Lautoka 27 and Lambasa slightly warmer at 30 degrees. Forecast to midnight tomorrow for the Fiji group. Occasional showers over most places. Isolated heavy falls likely. Showers easing from the west later tonight. Moderate east to southeast winds, moderate to rough seas. And the outlook for Wednesday is some showers over the interior and eastern parts of the larger islands. Elsewhere, afternoon or evening showers. And the main points again. Vendors protest mud and poor facilities at Hibiscus. Westpac senior economist says China's aid commitment to Fiji could be affected with the devaluation of the yuan. And Thailand Prime Minister General Prayut Chan-o-cha to be in Suva next month for PIDF conference. Now to our poll segment, the results from last week. 89% said yes. This week we're asking, do you think the Hibiscus Festival is up to the standards of the previous years? Visit our FBC website to take part. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. You've been watching FBC News. I'm Jackie Spate. Good night.